It's been a wild week in the NBA. They crown an NBA champ with the Oklahoma City Thunder, first time in franchise history. Blockbuster trades after we saw the Desmond Bane deal that we talked about last week. Kevin Durant, Kristaps Porzingis, Drew Holiday, and of course, Cooper Flagg, #1 overall in the NBA draft. We'll talk about which Texas trio you'd rather have, the one that's currently set up in Houston or the one that would exist in Dallas once Kyrie Irving comes back healthy from that torn ACL. We'll check in on Aaron Judge and the New York Yankees with our Dirty Difficult done as well. And our guest this week is Amy Moreau, professional lacrosse player, Women's Lacrosse League, from Schuylerville, Team USA connections. We'll get into the growth of that sport and obviously being part of the 2028 LA Olympics. It's Onorato and Miller. Let's go.
This is Onorato and Miller, sponsored by Alpenhaus.
Alpenhaus, Marcella's, Bev's, Novice, Performance Industrial with us every single week. Love having their support here on the show.
Wednesday evening, live.
Sam took a little social media break for a little bit. We found out last week. I did say to you, I wonder where's Sam? Where's Sam been? Took a little social media break. Sam, I have good news. Between your last visit with us, probably more than a month ago, right, until now, with you back on social media, we haven't stopped talking about Aaron Rodgers, and we're going to talk about him again this week.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Talk about him again this week. Yeah. Rodgers making comments about whether or not this will be the last year of his NFL career, 20 plus years that he'll play now. One more with the Steelers. Cooper Flagg goes #1 overall, the Mavericks. What are your thoughts on him as an NBA player after obviously his terrific freshman season at Duke? What do you expect from Cooper Flagg?
I don't think so this is interesting, I guess. I think maybe Victor Wembanyama was more pro ready than he will be, just because of like his size advantage. I think Cooper Flagg will learn that everyone is as big and as strong as he is, and as fast as he is. I don't know that he's overly fast, but yeah, I think it'll be a little bit more of a learning curve, but he's the best player, deserving of the #1 overall pick. I think he'll have a long, if he's injury-free, career in the NBA. But yeah, I think there will be a little bit of a learning curve, or more so. I don't know that the success will come as quickly as it did for a guy like Wembanyama.
Yeah, he's not, 6'11", Cooper Flagg, right? He's 6'9". And there's a difference there, right? He isn't exactly, and a lot of it is positionless basketball. Now I was reading an article about the Kevin Durant trade, which we'll get to. And they called him, the Suns' power forward. I'm like, Kevin Durant's not a power forward in the traditional sense, where he's playing with his back to the basket, on the block, calling for the ball, the way the Karl Malones and Tim Duncans of the world did, right?
Built like
that. But only because of his height. Yeah. And so my point is, in the world of positionless basketball at 6'9", Cooper Flagg could find himself matched up with a Kevin Durant. That becomes a very difficult matchup for somebody like Cooper Flagg. But he's a lot of comps are being thrown out there. I heard somebody say on TV today, Jason Tatum. No.
He's not as athletic as Jason Tatum.
I don't know.
I don't think he is.
I see Cooper Flagg attack the basket the way he did at Duke. Tatum was not doing that while at Duke. Now, Tatum has gotten stronger, certainly in the NBA. So if you gave Cooper Flagg like 6 years from now, I think he's just as athletic as Jason Tatum.
Maybe.
Not as good of a shooter, but he's a better passer. He's a better defender. And these are the things that I don't think people will immediately notice. You might look at his points per game 3-4 months into the season and go, he's scoring 14 points a game. but he's a really good passer and he's a really good defender. And so I think when you put him in with Kyrie Irving and Anthony Davis, where he doesn't have to be the number one or two option for that matter, I think he fits right in. And overall, you said it, injury free. I think he has a really good NBA career. Is he an MVP? Probably not, but multi all-star and I think part of a winning culture for sure.
Yeah, I think, like you said, the numbers may jump more off the page for you with a guy like Wembanyama because he's a matchup nightmare for everyone. Cooper Flagg isn't a matchup nightmare for as many people because he won't have that kind of size advantage. Yeah, and I don't know. I'll be interested to see how his athleticism matches up. Yeah. I think it maybe isn't as much of just that like God-given athleticism. He'll have to try harder than some people. But yeah, I think if you put him on the floor with the guys you mentioned, Kyrie and AD, it's a recipe for success because I don't know that everyone's going to be paying attention to Cooper Flagg until he really makes them pay attention.
So speaking of Cooper Flagg, which Texas trio would you take? Durant, Şengün, Amen Thompson. I threw Amen Thompson in there in Houston. He is the ascending player, two-way guy in Houston, as opposed to a guy like Fred VanVleet, who just signed a contract extension to stay with the Rockets. Or would you rather have Kyrie, AD, and Cooper in Dallas?
I think the latter. I mean, Durant
can be 37 in September.
As old as he's been in the NBA and one of the older guys. Şengün's great.
Şengün and Thompson, both young.
They're great. Yeah, I think with Kyrie and AD, obviously you have much more of an injury worry. Durant, you have injury worries, but 2 for 3 on the injury worry list maybe isn't so great. But Flagg is just so young, and I think the experience of Kyrie and AD maybe outweighs like the youth of Thompson and Şengün in Houston. I would take Kyrie, AD, and Cooper Flagg, but I don't know that there's a bad choice there.
I like the balance of Kyrie, Cooper, Flagg, AD. I think like Kyrie, just a natural point guard. Flagg is a long wing guy, and AD obviously can play inside and outside.
I think there's a lot of versatility, and they are all very different. Very different.
Yeah. Both, I think, have what it takes to be championship contenders, to be honest with you, in the West. As good as Oklahoma City was in the regular season, and then for parts of the postseason, remember they took them 7 games against Denver, 7 games against Indiana. It wasn't a dominating run through the playoffs for the Thunder. I think as these other teams in the West build themselves up, they could certainly take a run at OKC. I think when you consider Fred VanVleet in Houston, Cam Whitmore in Houston, Jabari Smith with the Rockets, that is a complete team now. And the only thing that squad was lacking for as talented as Jalen Smith is, or Jalen Green, as talented as he was, Houston was lacking that just like A1 scorer. Now they have it in Durant.
Yeah, and I think maybe that's what I like more. I think I like the Rockets as a whole more because of the guys you just named versus the 3.
Okay, but you've got Klay Thompson in Dallas. They just signed Daniel Gafford to an extension. That's a well-rounded team as well.
Yeah, I get it, but I think I like everything about the whole of Houston more than the big 3.
Okay. Yeah. All right, let's move on to some of the trades here, right? The blockbusters here. This is Kevin Durant from the Suns to the Rockets. Celtics look like a little bit of a reset here, given the Jason Tatum injury, but not selling completely because you still have Jaylen Brown and Derek White. And I like the return from Portland with a guy like Anthony Simons as Drew Holiday goes out west and Kristaps Porzingis goes to Atlanta here. Porzingis to the Hawks. What are the Hawks really?
Nothing.
I don't know. You pair him with Trae Young and they have a top 10 pick, I believe, top 12 pick. So Holiday to Portland, you kind of feel sorry for him.
Yep.
But Boston isn't completely selling here. Simons can really score it. He fits what Joe Mazzulla wants to do in terms of shooting three. And assuming they hang on to Jaylen Brown and Derek White, they can compete next year.
I mean, they're just unloading money. At that point, you're saving. I saw something that they're going to save like $180 million between the Holiday Porzingis moves to get back under that like second threshold. Like there's a lot of financial advantages to a team that doesn't maybe feel like they're going to win next year, but would set themselves up for when Tatum does return to have a chance there.
So we run it down here. Porzingis to Atlanta, the return to Boston here. Georgie Niang, future second. The Nets are the third team involved, getting Terrence Mann, and that's a good move for Atlanta because Mann has 3 years left on his contract, and so the Nets pick up a fifth first-round pick. And so as we do the show live on a Wednesday before the NBA draft actually happens, the Nets are the team to watch Wednesday night. They have the 8th overall pick. That's their highest pick in the first round on Wednesday night, and then they got 4 other picks, Ash, that they could package together in some way to, I don't know, do what. But
or buy a whole new team.
They're a team to watch.
Is the draft good enough that they feel like they need to utilize all those picks?
No.
But first round picks are a good thing to have, and they haven't had them in a really long time because of all of the dumb trades and moves that they've made. And going way back to the Paul Pierce, Kevin Durant, Paul Pierce, Kevin Durant, different trades, but Garnett. All of those moves really handcuffed them in terms of draft picks. Now, all of a sudden, they've got all the first round draft picks. Do they want them or need them? No, maybe not. But does anyone else want them?
Yeah. Does this one move the needle for you at all? Pelicans get Jordan Poole and Sadiq Bey. Wizards get CJ McCollum, expiring contract. Kelly Olynyk.
I like it for the Pels because I think when you talk about a healthy Zion Williamson, the Pels get younger, extremely younger. I feel bad for CJ McCollum and Kelly Olynyk because the Wizards are never going to win ever, maybe. But yeah, I like it for the Pels because they get younger, and I like both those guys.
Okay. I like McCollum as a shooter better than Poole, who's a little bit of a chucker, but like,
I mean, he was the Wizards' leading scorer last year.
Somebody had to be.
I get it, but this is what you do.
Put me out there, I'll get 20 shots a game. Maybe I end up being that guy.
This is what you do. But it almost seems kind of funny when you say, we're not any good, but we're going to get rid of our leading scorer. I understand this is not always.
Yeah, and that's a reset there too, right? Expiring contract again for McCollum. That we got to figure. I mean,
how many times
Chris Middleton just picked up his $33 million player option to stay with Washington.
How many times can you reset until you figure out this is going to work?
I got a lot of teams trying that. Thunder won their first title in franchise history.
Oh, by the way,
Game 7 against the Pacers. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, the MVP in that series. But, of course, so much of the conversation is around the Tyrese Hallebertton injury. And do you think things would have been different? Would the result have been different if Hallie didn't get hurt in the first quarter of Game 7?
Maybe. I mean, the guy had scored 9 points in 6 minutes or whatever he ended up playing, 8 minutes, whatever it was. So yeah, I think it gives the Pacers a much better chance, but
not only did Indiana have a lead when he went down, they had the lead at the half. And for as fun as that 12-point stretch was from TJ McConnell, he did have 8 turnovers. Yeah. Halliburton is not a guy who turns the ball over like that. And that could have made a little bit of a difference too. It was, I forget what the score was exactly when OKC went on a 9-0 run. It was a tie game. OKC went on a 9-0 run and never really looked back in the third quarter.
Yeah, I mean, it breaks your heart in that scenario. This is a guy playing with a calf strain, which we talked about this off camera, but calf strains will forever be treated differently going forward because now you have 2 guys who have played with calf strains who have then torn their ACLs, or not ACLs, Achilles. And you could tell as soon as he did it, he went down slapping the floor, and you just thought well, I think that's an Achilles. And it almost seems like it's running rampant these days in the NBA, but you're going to get guys who are sitting out big games with calf strains, and that's going to be okayed from the top. You're going to get ownership, GMs, trainers who are going to say, please don't play. Yeah. Like, we need your calf to be healthy, because there is now a pretty distinct correlation between calf strains and Achilles tears.
Yeah, we saw it with Durant, Tatum, and now Halleberton. And you're right.
It's so crazy.
Do we risk it not having this guy game 6 or 7 even of the NBA Finals just to make sure he's healthy for next season? It seems absolutely crazy, and maybe it is. Sam, this wouldn't be enough for Dallas if Brooklyn said, hey, we'll give you all 5 of our number 1 picks.
Yeah, I agree.
Wouldn't be enough. Cooper Flagg over
one
all
Cooper
5.
Flagg is better than all 5 NBA or first round picks.
But I get the
in
idea.
This year's NBA.
And Victor's ready to go for his
finally
Nets.
Something to at least a little bit look forward to.
Says gonna have a good team. We're gonna win a championship.
Well, maybe not this year, Victor.
5 picks.
Definitely not this year.
Yeah.
Victor.
When will that title? I don't know when that title will come.
There's no telling with that team.
No, I know,
but not soon.
Yeah, I get it. All right, we're 15 minutes in, 16 minutes in without a commercial here. Let's take a break on Onorato and Miller. We've got the Performance Industrial Dirty Difficult Done, Marcella's MVP of the month, Aaron Rodgers comments on whether or not this will be his last season in the NFL. The NCAA says it's getting closer to making a decision on whether or not to expand the NCAA tournament beyond 68 teams. And our guest this week is Amy Moreau, Schuylerville, UMass grad, now playing professional lacrosse. We're back right after this on Onorato and Miller.
Grab the family and get on the water in style with a Barletta pontoon featuring the power of a Mercury outboard motor. You'll be slicing through the waves with a smoother, quieter ride, leaving you to relax and soak up the sun. Whether you're cruising with a family or tubing and skiing, Barletta and Mercury will give you the best ride on the lake. With their unmatched reliability and refined performance, Barletta and Mercury won't let anything hold you back from having a summer you'll never forget. So don't wait. Stop by Alpenhaus Boats and start your next adventure today. Check out our great selection on Route 30 in Amsterdam and online at alpenhausboats.com.
I'm Jeff Ukelek. I'm owner of Bevs, and we're a beverage center in upstate New York. You're just going to have that wow component when you come in, like, wow, look at this place. It's bright, it's clean, it has everything that I need. Consumer is king. Be able to provide them a friendly environment and a place to shop, no matter where they are, whether they're down here in Saratoga or whether they're up in Queensbury. You're always going to get the same experience when you shop at Bev's. At the end of the day, if you walk in these stores, you're going to see a lot of people that have a lot of pride.
And now, back to Onorato and Miller. Sponsored by Alpenhaus. It's time for the MVP of the month, sponsored by Marcella's Appliance Center.
Our guy Johnny Marcella, Nick Matalone at Marcella's, bringing us the MVP of the month. And it, of course,
how do you not pick that guy?
Is SGA regular season MVP on the best team in the NBA, and then he is the NBA Finals MVP. May not have really blown you away if you watched every game of this finals, but he's the best player on the championship team, and the numbers still overall are hard to deny.
The numbers are hard to deny. We got him right in that. Yeah, there we go. 30 points, 5 rebounds, 6.5 assists. I mean, you'd take that every day of the week in the NBA Finals.
Yep.
Likable dude.
Very.
Married to a U Albany grad, which you guys told on the news, which I didn't know. You enlightened me about that. That's exciting. Oh, local connection. We love a good local connection in local news.
We find ways to stretch it.
Yeah.
Once drove through the capital region. Stopped at the Amsterdam rest stop.
Stopped at Friendly's on Hoosick Street. Yeah, at least it's a legit.
I'm not arguing this one. I'm not arguing this one.
And you can't argue the MVP either. When you win the regular season MVP and your postseason's MVP, you get our Marcella's Appliance MVP of the month. Because otherwise we'd be overthinking it.
Do you think he's the best player in the NBA? I'm not trying to stir it up here. I'm just saying,
probably not.
There aren't a lot of guys, right, who won the regular season MVP and the NBA Finals MVP. So that's some rarefied air.
Yeah, no doubt. But if you're gonna like, and then I'm gonna have to come up with a name. But if you're gonna really say like,
Well, there's one to easily reach
he's
for, but go ahead.
he's not. If you're drafting a team, he's probably not your first guy,
Right.
which means he's not the best player in the NBA, right?
Who would be your guy?
Oh, geez. Right now, maybe
Yeah.
Anthony Edwards
Oh,
because he's young, fun, great
okay.
to build a team around. I'm not saying he's the best player in the NBA, but he's top 5.
So Jokic is too
Eh.
old for you right now?
Yeah, he's not as exciting.
Okay.
And then that's always the knock on it. It's like people just kind of forget he's there because he quietly does everything better than everyone else.
Yep.
But yeah, no. I'm going to go with a young, exciting guy. Victor.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think it would
any
be
of those guys.
Wembanyama for me.
Mhm.
The potential for injury based on his frame
Mhm.
scares
Worries
me,
ya?
but the skill set at 7'4", and his age, how do you not just
I
say,
know.
I'll roll the
He's
dice?
so young. Yeah.
I'll roll the dice on
Yeah.
this guy. We've never seen anything like him. But again, that's a different conversation from who are you building a team around for the future
Versus who you taking a flyer on.
compared to who's the best player in the
Mhm.
best player in the NBA is Nikola Jokic. But I see the value in building around a guy like Victor Wembanyama, I guess I would say.
Yeah. I see the value in building around a guy like Anthony Edwards.
Mm-hmm.
There's future, a lot of future. And not that there's not a lot of future with Jokic, but he's older.
Yeah.
He's older than both of them by a lot.
What's going on with Caitlyn Clark here?
Oh,
We talked a lot last week,
Boy,
was it,
that's
about
bad
the
news.
poke in the eye that, or a
Little
couple weeks
dramatic,
ago,
yeah.
maybe. Last 3 games here, she's played, I think, 5 since coming back from injury.
Okay.
Here's the last 3 games. Her team is 1-2. She is 1 of 23
I mean, that's as
from 3.
bad as it gets.
22 turnovers, 12 points per game.
Concern
meter reads what?
No, I mean, she'll shoot her shoot, though. She'll find her shot. But I would tell her the coach needs to get the ball out of her hands a little bit more, obviously.
Stephanie White just took a little bit of leave of absence
Yeah,
there. Some
but-
weird stuff happening. They just cut Dewana Bonner.
Cannot be, when you're turning it over that much, the ball has to come out of her hands. Also, she's a phenomenal passer.
Mhm.
So encourage her to pass more.
And she has, and look, the numbers don't tell the entire story that we choose here, but she had games where she had 10 and 9 assists in this 3-game stretch.
Not
as well.
enough. When you're turning it over 8+ times.
Yeah, it can't be a 1-to-1
and
ratio.
you're
It's
shooting-
got to be a 3-to-1 ratio.
and you're
ideally, yeah.
shooting 10% from the floor or from 3, the ball's got to come out of your hands. You almost have to be a decoy. Like, you have to be a facilitator. It has to come into your hands and out of your hands. And the only time you can shoot is when it's like a wide open shot. And you say, you know what? Her shot and her trying to find her shot is better than someone else shooting it. Like, her missing it means maybe she's one more closer to making one.
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of how you treat that. You let her shoot it. I mean, you never tell her not to,
Right.
but you tell her to pass more.
Look,
also.
at some point,
Yeah, she'll be
the
fine.
league catches up,
But she'll
and
be
then
fine.
she makes an adjustment. And there are going to be, when you are a shooter the way she is, and how many times have we seen this with Steph Curry,
Mhm.
where he'll put up a 2 for 13 from 3 night, and he'll have a week where he's made more than 1 3, but he's taken twice as many
Mhm.
as Clark in this 3-game stretch. So shooters run hot and cold.
Mhm. Yeah.
Not worried.
My guess
Not worried.
is
But teams are certainly like, hey, we're going to be more physical with her.
right.
We're going to really hedge hard
Mhm.
off ball screens, right? To not just let her get a clean look around a ball screen. Where they're going to be more physical with
Yeah.
her for sure.
The turnovers would bother me more than the shooting percentage. Like, stop trying. She's obviously trying to do too much.
Yeah.
Too many turnovers means she's trying to do too much. My guess is the defense is the cause of the turnovers, not necessarily the cause of the bad shooting. It's probably just a little bit of frustration. And when you can't find it, sometimes you just can't find it. Because when she can, it doesn't matter if there's somebody in her face. She shoots it from the logo and it goes in. So
her
it's
first
not,
game back against the Liberty was like,
yeah,
whoa.
like unconscious.
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily, I don't think, the defense that causes the shooting percentage, but the turnover certainly.
Okay. Carol asked a question here.
Why aren't we outside?
Yeah, why aren't we outside? She said. Why aren't we outside?
It's very hot, Carol.
It's warm.
We don't have any air conditioning out there.
Nope, definitely warm.
No fans.
But I am a complain during the winter, not
During
the summer. Yeah.
So if you complain, I get to smack you.
Yeah. And Carol says, how about our guy Dave Smith? Yeah, former RPI hockey head coach, taking a job in South Dakota in the ECHL, right?
We did know that.
We did.
We did know that. We were privy to that information. And we will maybe be visiting South Dakota. Now we have a reason to visit South Dakota. Go see our buddy Dave.
Mount Rushmore. It's a good reason.
I'll put Dave on my Mount Rushmore. Dave, you're more important than Mount Rushmore.
How about that? No, they would never let me behind the wheel of the fancy weather lab. And that's okay. I don't have whatever.
You don't like the fancy weather lab?
It looks nice.
No.
Has a lot of cool technology in it, but I'm not a weather geek. I'm good.
I know. You're
All good. And Sam does say here on topic here, she'll be fine. Small slump.
Yep.
3 games.
Still packing it in. Yeah, everyone's ready for her to break out of it, and they want to see when it happens.
3 games.
I don't blame them.
All right, we've kicked this around a little bit on the show. The NCAA tournament expanding beyond 68 teams. It's going to happen. So it's not a question of if, it's a question of when. And it sure feels like it's going to happen before next season.
Yeah.
Like, I think we have seen the last NCAA tournament of 68 teams. And when you listen to the comments of Charlie Baker, the NCAA president, sure sounds like it's going to be an expansion of 8 teams, 76 now instead of 68. That would be the largest expansion since like 1985, I think, in terms of the history of this tournament. So 76 teams now vying for an NCAA title. And I would say by adding 8 more teams, you still have the same number of teams capable of winning it all as when you had 68 teams. None of the 8 teams that get in are going to be able to win it all.
Nope.
Maybe they win a game, and that's fun for people. But I will say it again, which I've said before. This is just like the college football playoff.
You want the big guns.
You're just creating more basketball, as we did with the college football, but you just more football, not more good football.
No, it was bad football, in fact.
It's more football. This will be more basketball, not necessarily more good basketball.
Yeah.
Okay. If that's what the people want, go for it.
Listen, the first 4 games are generally pretty good because they're fairly equally matched teams.
Yes.
But
I maybe would say that they are closely contested as opposed to good.
Yeah.
You get some of these 16 seeds that might be under 500 out there.
You also get a 16 seed of UMBC that beats Virginia. Like,
no doubt.
For every 100 duds of a 16, there's one good one. One gem of one.
Yeah.
I was laughing at myself because as soon as you said Charlie Baker, my light bulb went off about dumb local connections. His son went to Union College.
Yeah, right.
So dumb local connection.
There you go. There's the local
former
connection.
Mayor, former governor
of
Massachusetts.
Yep.
Son graduated from Union. Charlie.
Yep. So he's been in Schenectady. Oh.
Son went to college in Schenectady.
Maybe he's been inside Mesa Rink.
Johnny's. Gone to Johnny's. Gone to Scotty's.
Maybe.
You never know.
Sure.
I like this game. I'm going to play this more often.
Oh, it's painful sometimes.
It's so great.
All right. When we come back here on Onorato and Miller, Clark Schmidt was throwing a no-hitter until he wasn't. And we had the conversation literally a night before it happened about pitch count and when you pull a guy. And we see it more often now where a pitcher gets pulled even after 7 or 8 no-hit innings because of the pitch count. We'll talk about whether or not that's a good idea and maybe good or bad for baseball. Aaron Judge as well. And our guest this week, is Amy Moreau. Also, special appearance at Tight End University. Somebody is back on tour on a much smaller scale. Back right after this.
At Marcella's Appliance Center, our commitment is to you, providing essential appliances that families depend on for cooking, refrigeration, cleaning, and sanitation, plus appliance repair. You can have peace of mind that Marcella's is here for you today and every day, like we have been since 1957, helping you make the right choice with trusted brands like Whirlpool, Maytag, KitchenAid, and many more. Shop Marcella's Appliance Center in-store, online, or by phone. We're here for you.
The great thing about novices, no matter who you are, they're going to put all the detail in the world into your brand. I feel like they have been a big part of my success, making me feel comfortable. This is Harrison Butker, Super Bowl champion kicker for the Kansas City Chiefs. Claim your crown.
And now, back to Onorato and Miller. Sponsored by Alphen House. And now, Dirty, Difficult, and Done. Sponsored by Performance Industrial.
Bill Miller, his great squad at Performance Industrial, where there's never a job too dirty or too difficult for them to get it done. A big part of the Folds of Honor golf tournament that happened this past week, raising a ton of money for a great organization that provides scholarships to children, family members of either injured or fallen service members. Really, really cool charity there. And they've got a unique golf tournament coming up at the end of July. We'll talk with them on this podcast about that in terms of, again, raising more money for charity. So here's our Triple D this week, Ash. The days of a no-hitter with 115 plus pitches are done. Now
I threw that number out.
All right. That's a random number because the kid at Arkansas in the College World Series threw more than 115 pitches. That's and college. He threw a no-hitter.
College. That's I mean MLB.
Okay.
Professional.
Why do you say that?
Because it's so different.
No, why do you say that the days are done?
I picked a number because I think if you go much over that, people lose their mind. It's like it could be 120, it could be 110. It's kind of an arbitrary number, but you knew as soon as Clark Schmidt was at 90 pitches and still had 2 innings to go,
right? He had
that
a no-hitter.
Most likely wasn't going to do it
through 7 innings.
I would have said,
and Aaron Boone pulled him.
I would have said, as a Yankees fan, let him go. Let him throw 130 and give him an extra day of rest, skip him a start and bring somebody up. They're just not going to do that in the middle of the season because it's almost like they're just like throwing away games.
Similar to the conversation about that injured calf correlating to a potential Achilles. I think so many managers and analytics people in baseball, and it goes beyond just Aaron Boone, it's the general manager and maybe even the owners in some cases, they remember, as I do, Johan Santana.
I get it.
The Mets pushed him, and he threw the only no-hitter in Mets franchise history, which wasn't actually a no-hitter because there was a fair ball that was called foul.
That's a whole different.
And Santana never looked the same after that.
How many pitches did he throw?
I don't know.
Something
I'll look it up in the next commercial break, or you can do it here while I just chat to myself. So I think that memory is burned in the minds of so many baseball managers that with a young guy like Clark Schmidt in June,
I know,
it'd be nice for his career. And we'd love to say, he threw a no-hitter and that ball goes to the Hall of Fame and it's good. But realistically, now I would have sent him back out there for the 8th
just to see what
because
happens.
He can throw 100 and what if he has an 8-pitch inning?
That's what I said.
Okay, now we're through 8, still below 100 pitches.
Then
send him back out there for the 9th.
You go.
And as soon as he gives up that first hit,
He's out.
You're out. Even if it's on pitch 99.
I get
right.
it.
I don't need a complete game shutout of the guy, but you can still give him a chance at the no hitter without pulling him prematurely in this case. How many for Santana? 134. Too many. Way too many. Way too many.
So I what would you 120?
Yes, at most. And I think it depends on the pitcher.
Sure.
The build of the guy, right? Injury history, all of that stuff. But for me, the build of the guy, right? Like, I hate to use him as the example because he just had Tommy John surgery. But a guy like Spencer Strider, who is a Paul Skeens. Paul Skeens wants to go out. Now, the Pirates would never do it because you can't risk him. You'd be fired the next day.
His arm is worth $1 billion.
But Skeens is a guy where if he threw 120, I don't know that I would sleep just fine at night because of his build, and he's a power guy, and that doesn't scare me. So what kind
of build scares you?
Slight.
Strider's not slight.
No. I'm saying Strider is a guy that I would let him go too.
But you're saying, but he had Tommy John.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so it's not.
And not that Johan Santana was slight, but his out pitch was a changeup, right? Like he wasn't blowing guys away at his peak, and so 134 just may have really taxed him.
Yeah, listen, you don't even count the pitches they throw before the game, and I know they're not like stressful pitches, but you're throwing 50 probably warm-up pitches just to get ready for a game, and then you go throw 100. Maybe that's what changes. I don't know.
To warm up as much.
Don't warm up.
Aaron Judge still first in all of baseball with his average at 364.
That poor average.
Through 79 games
Cal
now.
Raleigh's making it tough on him.
We're almost halfway through the Major League Baseball season. Oh,
I said to you, the summer's going to be over in like a hot minute.
Second in home runs, you mentioned Cal Raleigh with 32 home runs.
Sixth in RBIs. It's crazy.
OPS still number one, hits still number one, and still an insanely heavy favorite to win
can he
MVP
not win
in the American League.
Is there any way he doesn't win?
Yeah, Cal Raleigh could hit 60 home runs.
I know.
I mean, even if Cal Raleigh hits 57 home runs as a switch hitting catcher, right? We have enough history that says you don't have to be on a playoff team to win MVP.
Is somebody voting for him over Aaron Judge? That is the question.
Maybe.
Of the day.
How much do we talk about voter fatigue when it comes to MVP in other sports? Why don't we talk about that in baseball? We don't as much. We talk about, Lamar Jackson's already won it X number of times. It's time. Josh Allen, somebody new. Nikola Jokic has already won it 3 times. It's got to be somebody new. I could see that happening here where Cal Raleigh's stats are almost as impressive. And then they say he's a switch hitting catcher, and Judge has already been a unanimous MVP twice.
For me, it's the face of the game versus who?
Yeah.
And I know it's not fair, but so often people who play on the West Coast, not named Shohei Ohtani, or maybe it's just Seattle, not named Ken Griffey Jr., struggle to make a name for themselves. And I think people are going to be like, so what, that guy hit, I just think that's how it's going to go. I don't think anyone, if Judge keeps some semblance of this season together, I don't see any way he doesn't win.
Yeah. Well, and Vegas would tell you that. I think he's like minus 2,000 right now to win the MVP.
I think you're right. I think Raleigh would have to go over 60.
Yeah, maybe.
And Judge's average, he would just have to go in the tank. Like he would have to hit fewer than 45 home runs, which probably won't happen. Stay under 80. Like it just would have to really go in the tank, I think.
Yeah. Never too soon, Sam.
Yeah, never. This is what we do.
And again, right, you reference the type of pitcher, the build, Nolan Ryan. And obviously, guys are throwing the baseball not necessarily as hard as Nolan Ryan did, but differently with the type of spin guys are trying to put on the baseball and the stress that puts on the elbow. All right, we still have to talk about Aaron Rodgers and what he said about this potentially being his last season in the NFL. Taylor Swift's surprise appearance at Tight End University. Do you think T. Swift and T. Kels are secretly married and nobody knows yet?
Is that what we're going to debate?
I'm wondering.
No.
I'm wondering. Aaron Rodgers got married. Nobody knew. Maybe it happened to
people don't like him.
Travis Kelce.
People like the other two.
Taylor Swift. But Amy Moreau is a star.
People love her.
Lacrosse player from Schuylerville and now doing big things on the professional lacrosse scene. She's our guest next here on Onorato and Miller.
I'm Jeff Ukelek. I'm owner of Bevs, and we're a beverage center in upstate New York. You're just gonna have that wow component when you come in, like, wow, look at this place. It's bright, it's clean, it has everything that I need. Consumer is king. Be able to provide them a friendly environment and a place to shop, no matter where they are, whether they're down here in Saratoga or whether they're up in Queensbury. You're always gonna get the same experience when you shop at Bevs. At the end of the day, if you walk in these stores, you're gonna see a lot of people that have a lot of pride.
At Marcella's Appliance Center, our commitment is to you, providing essential appliances that families depend on for cooking, refrigeration, cleaning, and sanitation, plus appliance repair. You can have peace of mind that Marcella's is here for you today and every day, like we have been since 1957, helping you make the right choice with trusted brands like Whirlpool, Maytag, KitchenAid, and many more. Shop Marcella's Appliance Center in-store, online, or by phone. We're here for you.
And now, back to Onorato and Miller. Sponsored by Alphen House.
Ash, I feel like we say this for a lot of sports and the growth. There's no hotter time to be in female professional sports. Of course, the
Women's professional
WNBA.
sports.
Yeah. Okay. Did I say that wrong?
I don't know. Female professional sports.
Women's professional sports?
Yeah.
A little weird, clunky.
Yeah.
Obviously, WNBA gets so much attention, right? College athletics, though, too, right? We've talked on this show about the softball numbers at the World Series. Insane. College basketball, of course. The investment Major League Baseball is making into a professional softball league. And now the Olympics are bringing lacrosse back, both men's and women's. And we've got a local player from Schuylerville who is doing big things in the sport of lacrosse, Amy Moreau.
Yeah, she's one of the only 5'1"ers playing professionally, which is something to be said, because there are certainly a lot of names who have come out of this area who have made their mark in the sport of lacrosse, but no one is doing it quite like Amy.
All right, we've got Amy on Onorato and Miller right now. Amy, it's Chris and Ash. Congrats on all the success so far. Obviously back to Schuylerville, playing 5 years at UMass, now coaching at Davidson, part of the national team, and we'll get into the All-Star weekend with the WLL. How are you?
I'm good. How are you? Thanks for having me.
We're good. Yeah, thank you for doing the show. Where is lacrosse right now in the world of female, women's professional sports?
It's on the up. I think this is a great time to be playing in women's sports. I think this is a great time for lacrosse with the Olympics right around the corner. I think the season with different players like this past year just got a lot of traction, and it was really, really exciting to watch. And I'm just seeing more younger players playing even around here, like coming back here. Like there are a lot more youth programs and club teams, and like it's just really cool. It's really cool to see and be a part of.
Amy, when you were signing your letter of intent, and this is how I knew your name, I don't think I was there, but I remember seeing the photo from it. When you were signing your letter of intent at Schuylerville to play collegiately, could you have imagined that this sport would take you the places it has?
No, definitely not. I always say that like I was from a small town, so like I just like lacrosse wasn't big when I was growing up. Like it just wasn't big here, and so to have the opportunity to play at UMass was really exciting. And I thought that was like the cherry on top for me. And I just think that every year I was there, like new opportunities came about, and like I just like loved the grind. I loved working hard, and like I definitely would have never have imagined this if I was talking to you in 2018.
You played with Athletes Unlimited as well, which is a league that a lot of people know for professional women's sports opportunities. You were A10 Midi of the Year at UMass. You led the Minute Women to 3 NCAA tournaments. Did you exceed expectations that you had for yourself in college?
A little bit. I think that I got really lucky and I was put on the field as a freshman, which I think set me up for a lot of success in the
Why
years.
was that lucky?
I don't know. I guess it wasn't really lucky. I guess I did earn it.
You're modest. You're too modest.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think being in that position as a freshman, each year was a little bit different. Each year I was a little bit of a different position on the field, with different people in different roles and different leadership positions. And I think all of that just kind of helped me grow as a human and a player, and just like set me up for the next thing each time.
Amy, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like maybe high-level basketball players on the women's side are the only ones who potentially go into college thinking like, I'm going to do this beyond. Like, at what point did you realize, maybe it's not an entire career, maybe it's not an entire playing career that you're just going to move on professionally, but at what point did you realize that it was a possibility to move on and play professionally?
It's kind of tough. I think it was my junior or senior year, I can't remember. But my head coach at the time told me that I should apply to try out for the national team. And again, like that, when she said that, I was like, what? I did it anyway. I applied, I got a tryout, and I didn't make it anywhere past the tryout, but like I saw myself hanging with the girls, and like I felt like I belonged a little bit, even though, they were better than me. And then Athletes Unlimited came out, and they were a whole league, and I knew that the draft was small, and I knew that I probably wouldn't get drafted, which I didn't. I was an undrafted rookie, sorry. But I always knew that like it was a possibility. Like I knew that I had people in my corner that were going to help me get there.
Are we going to be good at the Olympics in 2028?
I think so. I think we're going to be very good.
Okay. I was reading about Australia as being like a team that might be a favorite in the field game, and is it 6s and not 10? It feels right. So it's gonna be a little bit of a different format than we're used to seeing out on the field when we get to LA.
Yeah, I definitely think that USA is gonna do very, very well. I think that Australia has a good program. I think that England has a good program, but I think our biggest competition is going to be Canada. We had like a sixes event in 2021 or 2022, and USA played Canada, and it was like a really close game. So I think that anytime we're up against Canada in men's and women's, it's always going to be a battle.
We go from the opportunities in the AU to now an opportunity with the WLL, which the PLL have recently announced. You are playing in All-Star Weekend next weekend, so 4th of July weekend. How does this come about? You're currently a coach at Davidson. How does this opportunity come about for you? And how do you stay in shape, I guess? I know you're still a coach, but like this is a one-shot deal on a weekend and you're going for it.
I was thinking the same thing when we were talking to Amy before we started here. She's like, yeah, well, we haven't really kind of played in a while. The season started when we were all coaching, and we're going to come together and play this All-Star game. And I'm thinking like, this sounds like it could be like a little old man softball situation here.
They're younger than us.
Correct. Except I'm talking about like elite level athletes still. So yeah, to build on Ashley's question here, like obviously you're staying in shape, you're working out, you're getting shots. And do you just feel like you can kind of pick up the stick at any point and go play?
Yeah, I think it'd be nice to have more than one game. Just like I know we'll have a practice the day before, so we'll shake a little cobwebs out there. But no, it's once you get a couple minutes, like it's just like riding a bike. Like you're right back into it. We kind of felt the same way with our season last year. All the girls, like when we were talking, it's just easy to pick it right back up as long as you're doing the work beforehand. I know there are a lot of girls that are playing with the national team right now in Florida, so they're coming right off of like a week of playing, so they'll be ready to go. I'm lucky that I get to throw on the cleats sometimes and play and practice with my Davidson girls. It's a nice challenge. I work out with them sometimes. I'll run with them. I shoot on them a lot, so it's fun. I do find like little ways to stay in it and stay involved, and like little ways to like challenge myself, so it's not just the same thing every day.
Are you showing college players what's up?
Sometimes they show me what's up.
Yeah.
And then I get really frustrated.
And that's okay too. I'd be like, no worries, I'm going to play in the WL All-Star Game. Hold please. Coaching, was that always on your radar, or when the opportunities started to develop with the national team and the NAU and WLL, did you kind of think like, okay, I want to stay in the sport, or are there other dreams career-wise?
No, I think so. Once COVID hit, I did kind of my own little private training here, like around the area, and I fell in love with it. I fell in love with the kids that I was coaching, what I was doing. And then, the rest of my college years, I kept doing that. And then I got to see the kids grow. So I had like kids from like 5th grade, and then my last year doing it until I graduated, they were in 8th grade. So like, I just got to see them like actually like physically grow as humans. And that to me was equally as rewarding as watching them grow as lacrosse players. And I knew I didn't want to leave that. And I knew that, I had experience in the college world, obviously. My head coach at UMass was a great mentor for me and like throughout my 5 years. And I knew that I wanted to, pay that forward and have the opportunity to be that for someone else.
I read in your bio that you'd be a teacher if you weren't still in lacrosse. Is that right? And do you feel like this is an extension of being a teacher? Yeah. Yes,
exactly. I am teaching. I come from a family of teachers. My mom's a teacher. I think almost all of my aunts, minus like 1 or 2, are teachers. So it just kind of runs in the family. My sister's a teacher of some sort, so just natural.
Amy, the circles that you've run in, the lacrosse circles, are as big as they get. Where does the 518 stack up in terms of talent? Like, listen, you hear the names like Kayla Trainer and Katie Rowan, and those are the people that are at the top of the sport and will never come down from some of those places. But in your opinion, the people you've played against locally, how good is the Northeast and specifically the Capital District at the sport?
I think it's growing. I think each year I come back and I watch, I think everyone's getting better. I think there are people from, UC Queensbury, and you see the Duffys from Queensbury, you have Sam DeVito from Boston Spa. Like, you do have really good kids at every school. They're just kind of a little bit hidden to the rest of the world just because I think that we're not a traditional hotbed of lacrosse. I think Kayla did a great job of putting, the Capital Region on the map when she was in college. Like, she was who I watched growing up. And I think that kind of just had a snowball effect. And I think it's great that we are a little bit centrally located to like Syracuse, Long Island, Boston, like those other hotbeds. And I think that really does help being so close and being able to go play in those places.
Who did you hate playing against?
I always hated playing against Queensbury. It didn't matter who was on that team. They were so much better than us every year.
Not a lot has changed. They're still very good. They're still very good.
Yeah. When you look at the PLL model, does that give you reason for hope that a women's league would work? Maybe not exactly the same way, but just, I guess, would work? ? Yeah,
that is the hope. That is the hope with the WLL and announcing that, it might not be next summer. It might be the summer after. There's not really a timeline on that, but that is the hope, that we are going to have a league that looks a little bit like the PLL. I don't know if we'll have just as many teams, but I think the structure is the goal for sure.
Cool.
All right, Amy. Well, good luck at All-Star Weekend.
Thank you.
We'll be keeping tabs on you.
No doubt about it.
Take care of your knees.
Yeah, right. I
don't do anything crazy against the young kids. If there are any crazy youngsters out there, don't.
I'll try my best.
Yeah.
Still pretty young.
No doubt. God bless you.
Congratulations on everything from, again, Schuylerville to UMass and now Davidson and All-Star Weekend with the WLL. Amy Moreau, thank you.
Thank you so much.
The great thing about novices, no matter who you are, they're going to put all the detail in the world into your brand. I feel like they have been a big part of my success, making me feel comfortable. This is Harrison Butker, Super Bowl champion kicker for the Kansas City Chiefs. Claim your crown.
Using the highest quality materials, artisanal craftsmanship, and creative design, we're ready to help bring the vacation experience to your own home. With custom-designed Legacy Edition pools, we're confident we can turn your backyard into your own personal oasis. And we'll be by your side through the whole process. Get outside this summer with Alpenhaus. Be sure to visit our 16,000 square foot showroom expansion on Route 30 in Amsterdam. Alpenhaus Pools and Hot Tubs, Amsterdam and Clifton Park.
And now, back to Onorato and Miller. Sponsored by Alpenhaus.
Good week to have a pool, huh? Woo, good week to have a pool if you have one in
we do not.
I would say upstate New York, but most of the country, the way the heat has been going. Nice to catch up with Amy Moreau, Schuylerville, who's doing some really big things on the national lacrosse scene. Taylor's back on tour, not drawing the same size
No.
crowd, not making quite as much money, but performing at Tight End University, which is a summer camp for NFL tight ends, which is kind of interesting when,
Yeah, like,
like
of all the places.
this was the brainchild of Greg Olson, George Kittle, and Travis Kelce. I think it's interesting when you've got current players helping other current players develop their game and skills and all that stuff. And so Taylor Swift and Kane Brown also performed at Tight End University in Nashville. This is, I think, year 5 of Tight End U.
Okay. I was going to say, are there a lot of tight ends in the NFL interested in Taylor Swift performing? Meh. I mean, story to tell, but some of them are probably more into Kane Brown.
I don't know. She's such
If
a
it's not
phenomenon.
Like, if they don't have their kids with them, it's like a bunch of dudes. I don't know.
She apparently performed Shake It Off. You're telling me all of these guys weren't dancing around as she was? I think so.
I don't know. Feels weird.
Not for
like
that. They're not that much younger than you. They are. They're not.
No, but that's what I mean. They're like her age.
Yeah, I think. But I even think. Think about a rookie tight end at 22, 23 years old.
Well, that's different. But are those guys at that camp?
Yeah, they could be. Sure, they could be. Yeah.
Maybe. Maybe.
I bet it was wild.
Okay.
I bet it.
I just think it's interesting,
especially if it was really kept under wraps.
Well, sure.
And like maybe
surprise.
Kane Brown is doing his thing, and then Taylor Swift comes out. I bet that place went nuts. The phones went up like nobody's business.
Put your phone away. Put your phone away, all of you.
Yeah, like a Bieber party.
Yeah.
No phones. Like a public school system.
We played it to the last 2 minutes of the show here.
So Aaron Rodgers says on Pat McAfee this week, I'm pretty sure this is it. That's why we just did a 1-year deal. It's been a long run. I've enjoyed it. He said perfect place to kind of end his career with one of the cornerstone franchises in the NFL, playing for a guy he really respects in Mike Tomlin. The mouth says this is it. Yeah. I wonder if the body will say this is it. If the body is like back to who we saw Rodgers pre-Achilles, or even just the last 10 games of last season. He was really good, people. His last 10 games of last season, they were really good. If he plays at a high enough level, there'll be part of him thinking, but I think he'll also look at Tom Brady and say, that guy went out mostly on top.
I know.
Rodgers' personal life seems like maybe it has come together a little bit, and it just makes sense to walk away.
At some point, I'm sure these guys think like it hurts to get up out of bed every morning. I need to eat a certain way, work out like a crazy person. Like, at what point do I get to enjoy all the money I'm making?
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure that's a real thought. Like, I just want to go do something that doesn't involve like going to work every day and having to work really, really hard. Whether or not people believe that, and like getting hit every day. Like, I think that's what I would think. Yeah. Like, all right, I'm going to go enjoy all this money I have at a much earlier age than any of the rest of us get to retire.
I think you hear it from most NFL players where they say it isn't the games, it's the training camp. It's the training in the off season that you talked about. That's the stuff I just don't want to have to do anymore. And so
it's probably a lot.
We're taking Aaron Rodgers at his word here that this will be his last season. Have a great weekend, everyone. Thanks for watching Onorato and Miller.